Good morning, friends and neighbors. On today's video, I'm going to be using my Rugged Made 28 ton. We're going to be splitting up some of this oak behind me. I'm filming this intro a couple days after the fact because on the intro I shot the day of, it was way too windy and I didn't have my thoughts gathered real well and I rambled a little too much. So I'm redoing this one just to make it a little more concise for you. I'm splitting some of this good seasoned oak behind me, splitting it down into really small pieces for a pizza restaurant customer that I have who likes it that way. And I decided to take this as an opportunity to test out the Shaver Specialty Products 1/6 of a cord bag. I ordered some barrow bags and I called AJ and he was kind enough to throw in 1/6 of a cord bag, and I wanted to check and see if my tractor would be able to lift it. I've got a John Deere 770 that you'll see featured in today's video, and the good news is it handled it really well. So I'm actually gonna fill that bag twice. I'm gonna split it full, dump it once in the truck, and then I try moving the truck to a different location over by the bank so my tractor is above the truck and dumping it that way. And it really works pretty good, as you'll see. So let's just go ahead and jump to the footage, and then we'll come back here and wrap it up at the end, and I'll just share a couple thoughts. So let's get to work. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Red Rock Firewood. Since I don't have one of their handy dandy little bag racks that they're available through Shaver Specialty Products, same place you get the bags, and they look like they'd work great. But since I'm just doing a test with one bag here to kind of get started, see if it's going to work for me, I decided I'm just going to use the pallet forks on my tractor to suspend the bag, which worked reasonably well. I did have to, as the hydraulics on the loader leaked down, I had to kind of raise it up again as I was splitting and filling it. And it did take me a couple tries to kind of get things lined up here how I wanted them. So I cut some of that footage out, but there's not really a lot. Didn't cut out anything earth-shattering, just kind of getting the bag positioned over the pallet and whatnot, close to the splitter. Firing up the old Rugged Made. Still really like this splitter. One thing just to note here on these 1/6 cord bags, you can see that the loading height for them is not terribly higher than the off-feed chute or off-feed table from the wood splitter. So you're not really having to pitch it up very high. It's not quite like going into a conveyor that would be tucked in under there where you could just kind of let it, push off and fall into it. Although it's not far off. And I honestly considered, maybe making an adjustment on that off-feed tray, or maybe putting the stand of the splitter up on blocks. And I think an individual could probably set it up so that you were splitting, so that the splitter on a Rugged Made like this one, and perhaps some of the other brands also, and have it where it pushes right off that end table and drops right into the bag. You may get a little more debris in the bag that way, which I think AJ has talked about that is not ideal for the drying process if you're going to be drying drying the wood in the bags. But for filling the bag, both this bag and the next bag that I do later, it went really smoothly. So not really a ton to see here. I mean, it's the Rugged Made splitter, it works. I think we'll just wrap this up and just kind of jump to the end when the bag is full. Okay, a little different camera angle here. You can kind of see the bag filling up. And my tractor hydraulics have sagged a little bit, as they are wont to do on a 20 plus year old tractor. Uh, Kind of stretching the bag up a little bit. Also testing, because this is the first time I've filled a bag like this. Just kind of checking to see if my tractor's going to lift it, and it seems like it's going to. Again, this gives you a good angle on the height there to the side. You can't really see the best since yeah. I guess what I'm getting at is, for most of the bag, you could, if you were able to prop the splitter up a little bit and you didn't have the bag sitting on a pallet and you were going to just lift the bag with the pallet forks, and you were kind of pointed downhill a little bit, I do think it'd be feasible for the wood to kind of roll right out of the splitter into the bag. That may be something I experiment with later. For this one, I didn't want the fine stuff, so I'm just hand tossing it up in there. But it's not a high toss. Just kind of, you don't have to pitch it up. It's not like pitching it up into a pickup truck or up into a bin. All right, the pallet forks slide out of those loops really great. They're nice and oversized, so there's no binding or any trouble with that. This part of it works great. Next camera angle, I did have to slide the forks together a little bit so they'd be the right width to grab the pallet. This is the moment of truth. Will the John Deere 770 pick up the bag of firewood? Let's find out together. It does. It does pretty well. We're getting close to the max weight. I should put a little more weight on the back end, but it does it. Gets the job done. Alright, we're heading over to dump it in the back of the truck. Let's speed this up just a little bit. That's kind of cool. It makes my little tractor sound like a race car. I wish I could go this fast. It did great. Back end again feels a little bit light, and the hydraulics have about all they want, but it gets the job done. Here I'm putting the chain on, and I'll show you a little better angle of that. I hook it on to the pallet fork frame. Like I say, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just watched AJ Shaver's videos and did something I think similar to what he did. Hooked on the back, kind of zigzagged through the pallet, at least one spot, then hold the pallet on the forks, through both loops on the bag. Yeah, here's a little better angle. Kind of there, down through, grab that ear there, you can see, and then come up there. That's where it goes through the pallet, so it has to hold the pallet on. I think it's a 12-foot chain. So for this one, we're on level ground. The truck and the tractor are on the same level. So I just put the tailgate down. And once I get up this high, my tractor is having a little bit of trouble lifting it. So what I'm going to have to do is I pull in here. And there I had to give it some throttle, and then it lifted it. Again, we're kind of maxing things out here, but it's working. If you had a little bit bigger loader, a little bit bigger tractor, this would be way easier. So kind of tipping it down to take some weight, and then raising it up, tipping it down, raising it up. And again, this is the first time I've ever dumped this bag, so I really don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, there most of it's out. What I should have done was backed up a little bit, and then yeah, I should have just stopped right here and got up and pulled the bag, like dumped the bag by hand. I don't think that's what I did. I think I backed out. Yeah, which, because I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah, I tip it up. That's as high as my loader will go. So I'm trying to shake it. I think I thought that maybe when I did that maneuver I just did there, that the bag would kind of flop forward off of the pallet and it would empty, which I get it down here and I can see there's still some wood left on top of the pallet. I climb down and consider tossing it in by hand. I decide against that theory. Here I am. You can't see my face, but there's a look of dismay. Checking out the back of the truck, just kind of seeing where it's at. Again, this is my first time and my tractor's too small. So keep that in mind as you evaluate. And after looking at it, what I decide is that I can just pull back up there and pull real hard on that bag, and I think most of that's going to flop out and land in the truck, and that is exactly what happens. Picking these couple pieces up off the ground. All right, Frankfurt, get back on the tractor and get this dumped. There go the neighbors. Hello, neighbors. They're saying, what's that crazy firewood guy doing? Okay, here we go. Coming back in. Spilling firewood. Let's not do that. Yep, just tipping it down a little bit. Again, if you do something like this, make sure you stay out from underneath your loader. Don't put anything you care deeply about underneath hydraulics. And I'm not. I'm staying out from under it. But I think I just grabbed this. I don't even know if I have to climb up on the truck. Maybe I do. Yeah, I think I do. But it really works really slick, and I should have done this, you know, back there a few minutes ago as I first backed out of it, and I could have done the exact same thing I'm doing now, and it would have worked great. So there, the bag is basically dumped, and yeah, now I can just back out of it with the tractor, and my truck is half loaded. All right, here's what the bag looks like. Still in great shape, no rips, no tears. Easily usable again. Back of my truck. There it is. Like I say, good solid half load in there. And little space at the front. Again, I should have either dumped this one more towards the rear or more towards the front. Either way, it would have been preferable to kind of land in it right in the middle. But here we're back at the splitter, and yeah, I don't think we're not going to waste a ton of time on this. The bags are the star of the show today. So let's just do what we used to do when we were playing tractors when we were a kid and jump to the fun part. Alright, we got the bag loaded again. Again, there's probably very few instances in the world when it would make sense to kind of dump a bag and then fill the same bag up again. I'm doing this as an experiment, and just want to see what my tractor will do. Kind of lifting the bag up there just to kind of seat the wood and stretch the bag out a little bit, get everything locked in where it needs to be. We're going to back out of it, grab the pallet, and we're going to do something a little bit different when we dump it this time. I've got a spot on my property next to my driveway where I can back my pickup up to the bank at the edge of the gravel road. You'll see it here in a second. We're going around here, going over by the driveway, and this is going to put my tractor tires basically at the height of the bed of my truck, so I can keep my tailgate closed and dump the wood in there and still be able to lift up and clear it. Again, probably some safety concerns with this. You know, one would make sure that the brakes on the tractor work good, and you've got a roll bar, which that's where the camera's mounted right now, and seatbelt and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so here we, and again, I forgot, I was so keyed up about doing this and seeing how it was going to work. I meant to put the camera on the tripod before I started this, but I didn't, so I'm glad it's still working, and you're kind of getting an over-the-shoulder view of dumping it. You can see my tractor struggling to lift it once it gets up that high, so I kind of set the edge of the pallet down on the pile of wood, and then I can raise it up a little bit and kind of tip it and raise it and tip it and raise it. And somewhere in about here, I remember that I did not move the camera. And so I jump off here and give you guys a better look from the side angle. I think it's right about now. Yep, there I go. Good work. There you go. All right, there's the John Deere 770. Here you can get a little better picture of the elevation we're working with. And that's kind of where it looked, what it ended up with, where it dumped. And yeah, pickup truck sitting again several feet lower. This is a spot if I need to load like a lawnmower in the back of my truck. This is kind of the place I bring it and back up to it. If I put that tailgate down, it'd be about the same height as where my pickup truck, or where my tractor tires are. It'd be the same level. You could drive right off of the gravel road right into the bed of a truck. So I think, looking back, if I would have just rolled the forks back, I think this would have just flopped off nicely and dumped right into the truck bed pretty well, and I could have just backed out of it. Some of this is a legacy of the fact that, you know, when I dumped both bags, they both kind of landed towards the middle of the truck, and I'm just kind of shimmying around trying to get everything, trying to avoid dumping too much firewood on the ground and defeating the purpose of all this. This is my first time doing it. This is the second bag I've ever dumped in my life, so keep that in mind. Looks like I'm going back, yeah, climbing back up on the tractor. I've got the chain fed through in a very similar fashion, and guys, it just works slick as a whistle. Again, I mean, you can see there, if I would have pulled forward more as I raised that up, very little wood. It looks like there's two pieces kind of hung up in the bag, and a few pieces fell on the ground. I really don't think that's bad at all. Again, what I'm doing now is the legacy of kind of not dumping it at the right spot in the truck. Something that'll kind of come with experience, I'm sure. But even at that, like, this is not that hard or time consuming. And the benefit of being able to have this wood kind of split fine, staged up in those bags, ready to go when the pizza restaurant needs wood is going to be, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great tool to have in the arsenal, and also for, you know, for some other things around the woodyard that I have in mind for it. I think I could have avoided all this if I would have, like I say, been a little more targeted in my loader operation as I dump them. Next time I'll try and, like I say, either dump the first one to the front more or to the back more, and then, you know, the other one the opposite spot. And I think when I do this again, I'm going to dump both of them at this spot. I think I'll just make this kind of my loading spot if I'm doing bags like this, dumping them with the tractor, and roll with that. But yeah, I mean, all I'm doing here is leveling off the load, so we probably don't need to watch me do that anymore. Yeah, there we go. I clipped out about a minute right there, and that's it. So, looking good, ready to go, and I delivered this to the pizza guy the next day. Friends and neighbors, if you're still here, then you are a dedicated viewer. I appreciate you hanging around to the end. Hopefully that was informative and enjoyable to you. A couple thoughts. Number one, my tractor's probably a little small and has a little bit too short of a reach for what I'm trying to do with it. Like, that's just thing one. If I had a bigger loader that had a taller reach, this would work way better. So that's for sure a thing. Thing number two is, what was thing number two? Thing number two is, it wouldn't make sense to just split into the bag and then dump the bag immediately. I was doing this today just as a test, and as far as I'm concerned, the test was successful. As I get better at using these things, as I mess around with them more, you know, I could have dumped that first one further to the back and then dumped that second one in the front, or vice versa, dumped the first one in the front and the second one in the back. I should get better at gauging the distance on that kind of stuff as I go, hopefully. If I don't, then I'm dumb and I can't learn, but hopefully I can learn and do that. Bottom line, I'm really impressed with the 1/6 of a cord bags. I'm pleased. I'm okay with how my tractor handled them. I think they've got a spot in my wood yard, and I'll be ordering another bag of those here pretty soon. I doubt whether I'll use them for like my main production run stuff for, you know, just general mixed hardwood and that kind of stuff. But the places where I think, pardon me, my daughter's got a kitten, so now we have a cat in the wood yard. I don't think I'll use it for my main production stuff. It's just, I can back my truck up to a bin or to a pile, and in 20 minutes I can have the wood chucked in. It's not really gonna save me a ton there. I think where these sorts of bags are gonna have a place in my operation are gonna be like prepping the wood for the restaurant. I could come out here and split half a dozen of those bags full of the real fine stuff for the pizza restaurant guy, have them sitting ready to go so that I can just dump them in so I don't have to handle that stuff a second time. The other place that I could see them being real beneficial is when I get small amounts of specialty wood. Cherry, apple, I've got a lot of white oak right now, but I don't know that that's always going to be that way. Just stuff that's a little bit unique. Last year I got just a little bit of hard maple in. Stuff that I don't want to run just up into a big generic bin, that I want to keep separate to market at kind of a premium. I think they'll be a good fit there. And who knows, perhaps, you know, as I fall more in love with them or use them more, maybe I'll decide that they're just the thing to do and use them all the time. So we'll see. If you stay with us and follow along, you'll get to see more of that here. Again, I feel like I'm talking a long time. So just to bring it in for a landing, I'm still really liking my Rugged Made splitter, the 28 ton. Didn't really feature it today. Today's focus was more on the Firewood bags, but you got to see it running. And the Firewood bags, the 1/6 of a cord bags, and the barrow bags that we'll be looking at in a future video, they do everything that they say they'll do. And AJ's system of hooking that chain around the forks and dumping them, in my experience, works great. I've dumped 2 of them so far, but initial thoughts are that they're great. They seem rugged. If you are a smaller firewood operation like I am, maybe you've got a compact tractor, you don't have a big skid loader and that kind of stuff, I think they, again, right now I don't think that they're going to replace my pallet bins completely, but they certainly have a place in my operation. So thanks again for watching. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll catch you up the trail somewhere. Bye for now.